Yes. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the show that we love to do on Tottenham on Tour. It's time for Ange-r Management, and today is all about the performance at the NLD. Joined by my partner in crime, as always, Mr. Johnny. How are you, Johnny, sir?
I'm great. When you said good morning, noon, I was thinking like, yeah, what is it? Is it morning? Is it noon? Is it night? Yeah. I didn't sleep. I was still like going over the game. Was it a dream? No. We went
Well,
there and we did the biz. We did the business. No, it's great. And another week where we go, we go out, stride out, watch match of the day, and
yep.
go and see our friends with our heads held high and enjoy the week. It was great. Still buzzing.
It was, and I want Paul Merson to go and look up the dictionary for the word slaughter, because it's got.
It's like, yeah. I mean, I posted that on a few places, and the reaction's been pretty good. I mean, I even from some Arsenal fans, saying maybe get off the sauce,
Well, listen, before we get into it, we'll just say hello to everyone that we normally do, and big up to the 71 people already in here. Crossbonesy Gaming, good morning to you, sir. Tigaro, the single parent theory, good morning. Scott, good morning. Mark in Australia, big up. Chris, big up. Lemmy, big up. James Flower, my brother, big up to you. Drula, good morning to you. Who else do we have here? That we have Mark Cousins is in the building. Active on Wembley. Who else? JR is here. Simon D is here. Benjamin Foster. Peter Carlo. Of course, Colin Cross is here. Good morning, Colin. Who else is here? And Andy. We're all good. So right. So
who was the one, Brian, that said he's been watching since the 80s? Can you see that one?
Where is it? Let's go back. Simon D.
Yeah.
Which is true. We're going to get into it. Let's for people that are new to the channel and haven't seen this show before, we are going to break everything down. We start off with the negatives, if there was any, then the positives, then very special mentions to players that deserve it, and of course we wrap up with the man himself. So, Johnny, let's get this going. Let's start with the negatives, if you found any.
Right. Well, listen, look, Monday last week, all the Arsenal fans were going on about Paul Tierney. Paul Tierney. It's a disaster. He never gives us anything. And that's all I said all week. And I looked up Paul Tierney thinking he was the referee. No, where was he? He was on VAR.
Yep.
Well, did that influence him? I don't know. But let me tell you, okay, that was the softest penalty. I know that's the rules. Morning, Ren. I know that's the rules, but I'll allow that because his arms by his side. It's a stupid rule. Where else is his arm meant to be? But that challenge by Nketiah, right, on Vicario is an absolute joke. How VAR did not call the referee over. He's given him a yellow card. That is a red card. Anywhere else on that pitch, he's gone in, studs up, right? And he's gone through it. If I'm telling you, if Vic had been rolling around in agony like every Arsenal player, I reckon he'd have gone. In my opinion, that's an absolute stonewall red card, right? I mean, it's an absolute joke. And I do wonder whether, someone like Paul Tierney, I'm not saying he's corrupt, but when you see that volley of abuse being directed at you for a whole week, from Monday till Sunday, and then you are on VAR and you have two of the most crucial VAR decisions in the game, and both of them go against us, Even Gary Neville said that's not a penalty. The only thing I would say in defence was that it looked like it could have been going in, and therefore you know, okay, I will give them that one. But no one's going to tell me that challenge on Vic was acceptable, and it really would have changed the game, in my opinion. Really.
No, you're right. The one negative, and Colin just mentioned Brennan Johnson. Obviously, he looks like he's picked up a hamstring injury, which could be him out for a good few weeks, which is a shame to see. Yeah, that first of all, the Romero handball, for me, if people remember, it's a carbon copy of what happened at Manchester City when we won 3-2, when he gave away a penalty right at the end. It's so close to him. It's so close to him, but there's no consistency in refereeing. No. There's absolutely none of it. The referee was underwhelming, to say the least. There are a few challenges he gave a foul for us, or sorry, we fouled, which were just so weren't even a foul. It was just awful.
Sarr's booking. I mean, he didn't even know what he was booked for. I mean, it was the softest yellow card I've ever seen. And then when Basuma, obviously being his daddy, went to complain about it, he got booked as well. Yep.
And that do you know what? That's the thing. We at one point I thought we were going to get more than 5 bookings again and get another fine. But from all I can think of, that is pretty much all the negative.
I've got another.
Go on.
Yeah. I felt I'll tell you what it is, right? The drop-off when we lost Maddison and Son. Well, we took off Maddison. I wouldn't have taken off Son. I thought it was a mistake taking off Son. But when he took off Maddison and Son, the drop-off was quite severe, right?
Yeah.
We looked like we were trying to hold on from that point of view. And if Maddison is injured, then basically I think we will struggle. I mean, we've got Gio. We need Gio back, because without we've got literally zero creativity. If you're going to get another creative midfielder in, what sort of quality creative midfielder can you get in that was willing to sit on the bench? It's very difficult, but we do need someone, because we were devoid of ideas that last 20 minutes, 10 plus the 10 added on. But that's for me was a negative, and the fact that we don't really have right now a backup. We're quite thin on the ground in certain areas. But that's about it from me.
Yeah, I mean, I will say with the subs, I didn't get the pair of them going off at the same time. If they'd done it individually, but that was our
Madders was injured, but
that was our creative spark gone. Yeah. This is someone I'd love at Spurs. Absolutely.
For years. The trouble is he had a terrible injury, and he's only just back. He's unbelievable.
He's fantastic. He'd be the perfect player for us. But yeah, now before, like we said, when we do the positives, we don't go in on the players. That's all in the special mentions. So Johnny, what were your positives? And people in the chat, what were your positives from yesterday?
For me, that first, I knew that they were going to come out and attack us, right? And the pressure that we were under on the press, that press by Arsenal was so intense, yet we did not change our game plan. We continued to play out from the back. Nothing changed, right? And, you know, when a player made a mistake, like Maddison made that mistake, no one was on him. No one was berating him. No one was saying, what you doing? It was like they're encouraged. No one is to blame. I want you to keep going and keep playing that football, regardless of what happened. Even when Romero had the own goal, everyone surrounded him. Big Vic was putting his arm around him. Don't worry, it happens, right? Encouraging. But the way they played the ball out consistently, they weren't going to be changed. And it was so refreshing. And you know what? After that 30 minutes, we completely changed that game. That last 15 minutes, I think we dominated the ball so much that we actually had 60% possession in that first half, the most possession we've had in any away game this season, because we stuck to our beliefs. And I think they actually tired in that first half because they were so intense and we kept at our game. Yeah, it was a real pleasure to see that his philosophy is there to stay and it will not be changed.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few. One of the major positives for me is I went into this game and I said, all we ask for is passion, desire, commitment, fight, and heart, and go out there and play your socks off and leave that pitch, whether you win, lose, or draw, knowing you put a shift in. That was achieved handsomely. Another huge positive for me on both goals, especially the first goal, which was right in front of us. As soon as that goal went in, any other season, there's finger pointing, there's shouting and arguing and bitching and moaning, and then we fall down. The first thing they did, pick up the ball, run it up to the centre circle, and start again. Like you said, they just they did not change. They kept going. 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 Obviously, they were a bit shaky sometimes with bringing it out from the back at the beginning, but then that got sorted. But just the desire in this team is incredible, and the midfield that has been our strongest thing this season for me. Started off weak, but ended immensely. It was just incredible. The way another one, Udogie, when these players, when they were booked, when those players were booked, they had to keep composure. And okay, Destiny had that bad back pass, but second half he came out. Just you look around this team, and they're all there for each other. They are all there. They don't give up. They keep running their socks off. They keep going. They keep going. They keep going. And just like Kate said, we're not Spursy anymore.
No,
it's still early days. But right now, I can't believe how well this is going. It's incredible.
I mean, when you think there was such a huge chasm between the two teams last season. I mean, 24-point gap, right, last season, and they were worlds away in terms of positivity and everything. And you know, I mentioned to you earlier, Brian, that Ange got more points. We got more points under Ange away from home than we did under Nuno, Mourinho, and Conte put together. But it was just the positivity. If you think back to Conte and that game last season, we were 3-1 down. And what did he do? He didn't chase the game. He tried to preserve being embarrassed, right? We were never going to compromise. Ange is never going to compromise his style. And we were just going to keep going and going and going. It's so refreshing. I feel like I'm watching a completely different team. And the turnaround in mindset, that's for me is so important. The mindset, you know, I don't know what he's saying to them, but it's certainly working. It's certainly working. Mentally, it's working amazingly. I think you know, as you rightly said, the heads did not drop, and if your head drops, there's always someone there behind you to pick you up.
Yeah,
you know, Romero after the handball. Okay, I think last season he loses his shit and he ends up getting sent off or something happens.
Yeah.
But no, you know, I mean, it's a bad day, you know, to give away the own goal, be, you know, responsible for the penalty and responsible for both goals. But yeah. And as Ren says, the energy and the vibe.
It's incredible. You see it from the minute they walk out until they come over and clap the away fans or home fans when they're. It is just absolutely non-stop. And you know what? It's so easy, or it's so hard not to start talking about players. So you know what, Johnny? Here we go. Who's your first pick? Let's do this.
there's just so many. Right, I'm going to go for Destiny.
Okay.
You could. There's so many players you could talk about. For me, Destiny. In those first few minutes, he was under so much pressure. Johnson wasn't tracking back. You know, he had a lot to deal with Saka, and you know, as usual, every Arsenal player knows the dark arts. They're on the ground, rolling around, clutching their arm, clutching their leg, screaming, and playing into the ref's hands. And that early booking, I did fear for him. But, you know, he just grew and grew and grew into that game. Too much so, he actually had Saka in his pocket. Saka, the most influential player, right? Where was he? Where was he in the second half? He disappeared. And Destiny just got better and better. He's 20 years of age. 20 years of age. And, you know, when we go on about special mentions, I'd just like to say, to add to the positives, there were 7 players in that team, 7 making their derby debut.
Yeah.
Right? Now, think about that for a minute, because when you look at seasoned professionals who have played in many games, going to the Emirates and folding or capitulating to the pressure, and we had a bunch of kids out there, 7 of them, making their debuts in that atmosphere. And it's hard to deal with, right? And they all came through with flying colours. And Destiny, to come through that and stamp his authority and be one of the main people from the adversity that he was at the early stages was remarkable. Right, really deserves a big round of applause for it.
Yeah, no, he does. Listen, I wax lyrical about that guy. And after he looked rattled in the first half. He really did. I don't know if it was the occasion. I don't know if it was the booking, but something wasn't going right, especially with that back pass. But in the second half, he was outstanding. And you know what I love? Like he did for the goal against Sheffield United, like he did for the goal for James Maddison at Burnley, his pressing down that side and winning the ball back high up the pitch is just incredible. And like you said, for a 20-year-old, and they always say when you come into the Premier League, there's an adaptation, there's a time to adapt, you got to settle, you got to do this, you got to do that. This guy is awesome. He is absolutely incredible. And like you said, in the first half, he wasn't getting the support he really needed or he'd been used to. And he recovered superbly. He was outstanding. I've got to go straight for this guy because a lot of people have been saying about him. And you know what? Where is it? Everyone is talking about Mickey van de Ven. Do you know what? Honestly,
that was the easy one to go for. Yeah.
This guy, like I said, to me, all summer, sorting out the left centre back was the most important thing to do all season. More important than Maddison, more important than Vicario, who I'm sure we're going to get to, and James Flower, I know, is in the chat waiting for it. Mickey van de Ven, I've seen him 3 times live, and he's just outstanding. He is simply, I still don't think we realise how good of a player we've got.
No, I do.
he every time he comes up, and it's like, right, this is going to be a big test for Van de Ven. This is going to be the test. This is going to be this. This is going to be that. He passes with flying colours. And in that first half, where the defence was a little bit shaky to begin with, he once again was an absolute rock. This guy is a colossus. And my Jan Vertonghen love is fastly transferring to Van de Ven love, because this guy, I honestly think, and I'm not going to be, we've got one of the best central defenders in Europe on our hands, if not the world, in a few years' time. This guy, whether it's pace, whether it's power, whether it's holding a man off, whether it's he is just something else, isn't he, Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I heard it all when I was waxing lyrical before we signed him, how important this guy was going to be. then the signing didn't come off. And then I got all the grief. And then he came and everyone said, we wanted Tapsoba, another bloody signing. You know, we should have got Tapsoba and we didn't get him. Typical Spurs. Listen, silence your mouths, because this is Jan Vertonghen with pace. Okay? This guy has pace. That tackle in the first half when he ran alongside him and he slid in, right, and came up with the ball, and like the cheer that everybody gave him, you know. Listen, the guy is fantastic, and let's be honest, he's still learning. But to come in and play at that level when you're that inexperienced, you know, in the Premier League, is quite incredible. Yes, his pace gets him out of trouble. Yes, we know that, aka Kyle Walker in his early days. But he has a great football brain, and his runs to block players who are attacking is fantastic. And I really do think he's the yin to Ramiro's yang. He really is. They complement each other because they have different characteristics and different attributes. And I just think he's going to be great. The one area I think he just maybe needs to improve, which seems kind of crazy, is he's in the air. He's 6'4". He needs to be a little bit more dominating in the air. But honestly, what a player we have got on our hands. Seriously.
Without that, before I get you to do your next one, I just want to say thank you, Azad, for the super chat. What a performance from Porro yesterday. Oh my God, every game this guy is growing from strength to strength. There were people saying he can't defend. Mate, I was one of them. Azad, I was one of them, and we will be talking about Porro, or I certainly will be bringing him up. He was outstanding yesterday. Absolutely outstanding yesterday. Johnny, your next one.
I've got to say Basuma. I mean, what is that guy on? I mean, you know, he didn't start great. He looked a bit flustered in that first half. First 20 minutes, I would say. And then he just got better and better and better. And that second half, I know people are going to say, oh, yeah, but there was no Rice. He was just unbelievable. And there was one moment, I think it was in the 95th minute, I think it was, where he dropped his shoulder and he went round Karl Havertz and Odegaard like they weren't there.
Yeah,
you know, his engine, his drive, his willingness to drive everyone forward. This is the guy that we bought. I'm telling you right here, right now, we could not afford him now in this current market. If he was playing for any other club and we were interested, forget it. We couldn't afford to buy him, because he'd be going to any of the big clubs. We have got ourselves an absolute superstar midfielder there. We really, really have. I don't know what to say. I mean, just when you think he can't drive, he can't get any better. 6 games now, isn't it? Yeah. 6 games. I don't remember one bad game.
No,
really don't.
No. And you got to look at it as well. I'll tell you what, in the first half, he couldn't get involved in the game, and sometimes he looked a little bit.
30 minutes.
He looked a little bit sloppy, and I was saying all week, if he turns up, we win. That's how confident I was with him. But he grows stronger and stronger into the game, and in the second half, whether it was Rice went off for an injury and it gave him a bit more time or whatever, I'm not buying that, because this guy's done it all season. He gets stronger and stronger. By the 90th minute, when it was 10 minutes, again, he started running forward. Like you said, Johnny, I don't think we could afford him. And his market value right now is astronomical. Is astronomical. There's things he does on the ball where he had, like you said, he had 2 people around him, quite tight on him. And the next minute, he's that way, and they're over there thinking, where the hell is the shoulder gone?
And then 95th minute, you're dropping your shoulder and you're beating 2 men. Right?
He was, again, he is such a driving force for us. He's the linchpin. He has become the linchpin. He is absolutely incredible. And do you know what? Let's do it. I was gonna go Porro, but I'll leave him to my next one unless you go. We've got to talk about. I was about to say Tottenham's number 1, but it's Tottenham's number 13. Do you know what? Honestly, do you know what? When I saw David Raya playing yesterday, and what a save he made from Brennan Johnson,
it was a poor shot.
I was just like, oh God, he's going to have a worldie today, and he's going to have a worldie and whatever. But whether he did or whether he didn't, I am so happy that Tottenham Hotspur went down the road of Big Vic rather than David Raya. And I was one of the biggest people wanting David Raya. I was one of the biggest. I had a melt. I said it before. I said it again when I went on We Are Tottenham yesterday. I had the biggest meltdown live in their studio when this went through or fell through, and then we were going for what was the cheaper option. My God, this guy. Do you know what? I don't know if people saw it as well when Romero scored the own goal. First thing Vicario did, put his arm around.
Yeah.
And again for the penalty. This keeper is something else. I mean, he's going to. We're going to have him for a little while, please God. And whether you thought Hugo Lloris, love him as we do, but the last few years he'd been, or last couple of years he'd been woeful. They're big gloves to fill. They are big gloves to fill. When you're filling a player who's held the position for 10 years and is the captain, you're going to have to come in and do something. And you know what? His composure, even his punching at set pieces yesterday was incredible. When you saw Hugo going for it, it was like, oh, here we go. You didn't know what was going to happen, where the ball, if he punched it, where was it going to go? He made some outstanding. The save from Jesus at the beginning was fantastic. He made a couple in the first half that were just exquisite. And he kept it up in the second half. His distribution was a bit dodgy at times, but long, not short. But this guy, I look forward to many a year of telling the story that I got it completely, totally, and utterly wrong, and that Big Vic was the right man to go for because he has been awesome, Johnny, hasn't he?
Listen, that first half, when that intense pressure was on, if we'd have had Lloris in goal, we would have conceded 100%. He would not have been able to play Ange ball under that intensity. It's as simple as that. I mean, there's not a chance that he would have been able to do anything. I was worried because they keep passing the ball back and they were pressing and they were pressing and pressing. But wow, that save when Porro lost him on the back post and Jesus sneaked in, I thought it was in. I thought it was a goal. When that ball came back out, I was like, oh my God. I thought that was a better save. I've got to be honest. I thought it was a far better save than Raya's from Johnson because Johnson didn't hit it. He scuffed the shot, right?
Yeah.
And it had no power to it. Otherwise, any power in that's in the back of the net before he's even had the chance to make. But he was so good with his feet. The saves were fantastic. And like I said to you earlier, when we were talking about the positives, the positivity, when anything went wrong, he was there putting his arm around, Romero. They are bonded. That team is bonded, 100% bonded.
Oh, without a doubt. And like I said, I didn't realise when he came over how good his English was. There's also a lovely picture that went around Twitter that his parents were there yesterday and sitting right near the back and were getting involved with all the songs and loving it and with all the Spurs fans that were at right at the back of the stands. And he has taken to England like a duck to water, hasn't he?
He has. And also another side of him, when he was in Italy, he took in a Ukrainian family.
Yeah.
When you think how young he is, to take in a Ukrainian family, when you think about how many footballers are so self-involved, so self-obsessed, that he would do such a thing. And I believe he's looking at helping another family now, Ukrainian. I'm not sure if he's taken them in or he's looking to do something to help. So he's a great human being. He's a great leader. He's got a great mind. He's incredibly positive. There is no negative. And, when I spoke to Nima, who's the Italian journalist, the day we were linked with him, I messaged him and he came and he told me, listen, you are signing an incredible goalkeeper. Mark my words, this guy could be the next Italian goalkeeper.
I think he will be.
He sent me a link and I put it out. No one was having it. I'm sure now those same people are now waxing lyrical about this cheap signing.
Yeah, listen, he was absolutely outstanding. He's got a big test coming up this week or this Saturday versus Liverpool. But yeah, Johnny, your next one.
God blimey, I could just go to. There's so many. I'm going to go James Maddison. Madders was so deep in that first half, and you know. This is the thing. He made that mistake that Jesus should have buried.
How he didn't, I don't know.
Well, he didn't. Now, had that been Richarlison, we would never have heard the end of it. But Matters, losing the ball like that and nearly costing us a goal. What happened? Did anyone get on his back? Nope. They supported him because Ange is encouraging people to play their game. And if you make mistakes, so be it. That's football. You just go again and you keep going. As he says, we never stop. But the way he done Saka was just absolute magic, right? He left Saka in a pile of dirt. He went round him and a lovely pass in for, I thought the ball was going to go out. Lovely pass back for Son to finish off. And, the second, in the second half, the assist for Robin Jorginho was again superb. And the pass, the weight of pass was so superb that, it was a good finish again from Son, but Son more or less had to pass that into the box. Without him, we are empty. We've played 3.5, 4 years without a creative midfielder since Eriksen's gone, and we didn't look like Spurs. This is the first time we've looked like Spurs again, having a creative midfielder and having so many options. But he's a leader. He's not just a creative midfielder. He's doing a lot on that pitch. And that injury was a worry when I saw his leg get jarred. I think we'll know soon whether or not there's any swelling. But there was definitely a huge drop-off when he was taken out of the game. He's been magical, really.
100%. Before I speak about Maddison myself, first of all, John G, yes, we do. It's basically the song for Antonio that we have for Conte.
Vicario.
So there you go. And then we've just got a couple of super chats to go through. Tigaro, thank you very much, sir. Yep, we've just spoken about it. He was. And then Ayuza, morning, lads. Love the show. For me, stands out were all the new signings as it was their first derby. Done superb. Exactly. Like Johnny said, 7 people making their North London derby debut. And rather than being nervous and worrying about the fear, they came out and did us all proud. And you know what? I've been saying James Maddison could find space in a phone box. Like you said, the dummy, and he sold Saka down the river. It was a thing of beauty to see.
Forget that that nicking his bloody celebration. What is that? How pathetic is that? And that's why he deserved it.
Well, do you know what? James Maddison even came out afterwards. I think Sky interviewed him as he was walking past, and he goes, his form was, he had a joke about it. Listen, this guy's come in, and like you said, when we've been needing this player for so many years, it's now 6 games, 4 assists, 2 goals. He is incredible. Like you said, to the way he took took the ball off Jorginho, especially after just going down 2-1.
Yeah,
it was so important. And like you said, with him, he gets into that position, but it's finding the right pass at the right time with the right weight and everything. And Son didn't even have to break stride. It was on a plate. And I'll tell you what, honestly, We may have lost Son and you know who, but there is definitely something growing between those two. They are already on sync, and James Maddison put his stamp on the game. He literally kept coming for the ball, even after that mistake. After that mistake where Jesus should have punished him, didn't drop his head. Didn't think, oh my God, I'm going to have to be a bit I'm going to play it simple for a bit. He just carried on and carried on and carried on. And this man is just a breath of fresh air. I'll tell you one thing he did do as well. Before, when the players come out, obviously they come out after they've done the handshaking and they go clap the fans and everything. He came right over to us for about 30, 40 seconds whilst others are running around, just clapping the Spurs fans. Went back, then they came back over for the huddle. He just gets this football club. It's like Tottenham Hotspur was made for him, or we were made for James Maddison.
He's loving it.
He's loving the responsibility. He's taking it on board. He's loving playing with the team. He's loving the style of football. You keep going back to what Ange Postecoglou said when he said, "Sign or not, you're going to see a different Tottenham." Thank God he did come, because without that, God knows. But he was awesome. And I am going to bring up someone. I'm going to bring up what the first super chat was about that we had about one Pedro Porro, who to me, as you know, Johnny, you and I have spoken about this a number of times. I think always that he is a better right winger. I always said it. I thought defensively, I was very, very concerned about him. When I heard he was starting at right back for Man U, I was like, oh, here we go. But I tell you what, against Burnley, he had his little blip for the goal that he was sensational yesterday. There's no other word for him. There was obviously talk, if he's there, do they target him? Well, obviously Arsenal started attacking Destiny, because obviously he was on a yellow card. So it was like, right, let's get it over to him and try and get him sent off. Everything Pedro Porro did, he is now showing what we were trying to buy. If I see him in defence for that, I will never, ever worry or panic against any other team, whether it be a Man City, whether it be a Liverpool, whether it be any of the big teams. I have absolutely no fear of Pedro Porro. I think he's turning into... It just goes to show what good coaching can do. And happiness and whatever. You've got to remember, after the Newcastle game, remember he had to take his Instagram and Twitter down because of the abuse he was getting from some sections of the fan base. Well, he has come and he has most certainly stood up to the challenge. He most certainly has. Before I get you to speak about it, I will say one thing. We will be speaking about Son. I actually thought that said Sarr for one moment, and I was about to say you and me are the chairman and vice chairman of the Sarr fan club. But yeah, Son we will be talking about, buddy. But yeah, Pedro Porro yesterday was outstanding.
Yeah, so listen, look, I don't make any bones about it. I still believe that he could be a great right winger. We all know how bad he was. And yeah, I was the person that said I didn't think he could defend before he arrived. And I was the one that said before the Leicester game, batten down the hatches. But he has improved leaps and bounds. No two ways about it. Again, yesterday, early on, he lost Jesus, right?
Yep.
Jesus at the back post. And that could have cost us a goal. He still is susceptible to players coming in on his blind side behind him, but he can improve. But that was again a major flaw. That's his main weakness. But moving on from that, he was superb. You know, he just got better and better in that game. And in the second half, he was superb. He was coming inside. He was creating all sorts of problems for them. The cross in that first half, that really powerful cross when he drove on the outside of Kulu and put one in the box. I think Son should have done better, actually. He didn't gamble on him getting that ball across. No, he's got better and better and better. And people think I have an agenda against Porro. I certainly don't. But, you know, that's his weakness. But he had a great game. Guys, just while we're stopping here, we obviously for the channel, for the algorithm, okay, we the likes and the subscriptions really help our channel. Subscription sounds like it costs money. It doesn't cost a penny. It's just subscribe to give you a message when we go live. That's all it is. Nothing to worry about. And the likes us. So if you get a second, if you hit that thumb button for the like and hit that subscription button, we'd really appreciate it for those who are here for the first time and those watching. And thanks for pointing that out, Chris, because that's a poor percentage. Our conversion in the game was higher than their conversion in this stream today. So go on. Is it my go now, or is it yours?
It is your go, sir.
Okay, so as we don't upset, let's go for Sonny. Okay, Sonny. I said, with him and Maddison, I believe Maddison will get potentially at least 10 goals and 10 assists. And I thought that Sonny would break his goal scoring record when he won the Golden Boot. Nothing has changed from that. He's got 5 goals. It says 5, isn't it? Is it 5? It is 5.
Yep.
5. Yeah, 5 goals. I think he's just going to keep adding to that. The finishes yesterday were superb. The one from Maddison, the near post, it was superb. Lovely finish, and he was so cool. You can see improvements that come from Porro. That sounds positive to me. I think Sonny is leading. He's leading. I think he's gone up a notch mentally.
Yeah.
I think when you're in the shadow of the man that cannot be named, the man with no name, I just think that he's become more vocal. The way he's celebrating now is even more passionate. We saw that against Burnley. We definitely saw that yesterday for the second goal. Definitely, I mean that celebration for the second goal was superb, and you can watch that celebration of the second goal on our channel. By the way, which has got something like 50,000 views.
It has indeed.
So, yeah, Sonny's just going to go from strength to strength. How we're going to cope with him, and without Sarr and Bissouma, come January, it's a serious worry for me. It is a major worry because we are going to have a big drop off without those three. And I'll mark my words. I think Sonny's going to get 20 plus goals this season. Yeah,
listen, Son is devastating at the moment. That's the only way you say it. Against Sheffield United, listen, it wasn't the game for him. Sheffield United, the team was set up in a different way. When teams play like this,
low block,
and they come out, and it gives Sonny the opportunity. But like you said, what the thing I really want to talk about with him is, obviously, he took the captain's armband on, and people were wondering, is this because of obviously the commercial side of him? Is this because he's the franchise player now? Is he the leader? He has taken on this responsibility from the huddles by the fans on the away games. You see him in interviews. He is allowed to express himself more, like he probably does in South Korea when he's with the national team, where it all goes through him. And he's got that smile back on his face. He really has. And you got to remember now, he has taken on a big responsibility, because Harry Kane has been that player for so long that was the poster boy, the this, the that. This man has come in, and you know what? The way he took the first goal was incredible. Madders did brilliantly to keep it in, but the finish to get it into the one place where the side netting where the keeper ain't going to get it. And Mark Cousins said it. And it is so right. That is the way he took that goal for the second equaliser was exactly. Do you remember when Gareth Bale scored it in the 3-2 against Arsenal at the Emirates? Yeah. The win with Harry Redknapp. That goal and that finish was a carbon copy of it.
Yeah.
And he took the goal extremely well. And like you said, when he came over and celebrated, he stayed with us for again. He's just such a If he's happy, the world is good, and he is good. And right now, he is incredible. I mean, he's now on 5 goals. How long did it take him to get to 5 goals last season? God knows how. I can't even remember how. He got 3 against.
Well, he got 3 against Leicester, and then didn't.
Then he got 1 at Palace. Then he got 1 at Palace, and I think the 5th might have been in the Premier League home to Brighton. May have been. I don't, but certainly. And yeah, like G just said, 5 goals in 3 starts from playing up front. You can't argue with that.
Yeah.
You cannot argue with that being the case. It was absolutely phenomenal.
I think there are, like you said, Brian, Sheffield United was not the game for him, but Richie was in a bad mental state. I do think that you need certain games. He's going to be better playing out wide potentially. I really do believe that. In a low block, I'd rather see him out on the left. I thought Solomon was quite poor yesterday, so in a low block potentially, I'd press Richie into that position. Liverpool's going to be a huge test. I've always said and maintained that I thought Liverpool at home will be a harder test than Arsenal away. I know that sounds ludicrous, but I think their midfield and attack right now is looking absolutely superb. They're definitely, I think they're going to be the main challengers potentially for Man City this season. So another huge test for us coming next week. But Sonny's there.
He'll play there. That game is going to be that game is going to be a phenomenal game. It's I go back home to Toronto 2 days later. And as I say that, Chris Toronto comes in. So good morning, Chris. Be back on your side of the pond very, very soon and cannot wait. So who else is there that we've missed out? Pape Matar Sarr. Like you said, got the yellow card. God knows why. But again,
he didn't know why.
For such a young player to come in, get that booking, I think he's just that midfield 3. Just like you said, we're going to be in big trouble come January, because they are huge loss, or maybe not big trouble, but they are going to be a big loss. And Pape Matar Sarr is just growing and growing and growing into the player that we've been told that is there, that we've seen that is there, and it was just another disciplined performance from him, wasn't it, Johnny?
Listen, I think I kept saying that I feel like he's like a young Patrick Vieira. He's the look on his face when he got a booking. He's like, what was that? For what was that booking? Again, I didn't know quite where he was playing. He was out on the right, then he was out on the left, then he was in the middle. I don't know if he was marking anyone in particular or he was getting instructions from Ange. But again, these young kids did not waver. They grew into the game. They struggled in early stages, no 2 ways about it, but they just got better and better and better. And, these games, definitely for sure, Conte would have dragged him off after about 60 minutes and ruined his confidence, but it wasn't to be. They are gaining the confidence and the experience gained from playing away those 7 in a game like that, to rise through adversity. We've seen experienced players collapse. Look at Sheffield United yesterday, lost 8-0. The same team that we struggled to beat. When your mind goes, it's gone. We did not buckle. When the goal went against them, we nearly lost the second. By Jesus, we just went again, and then when we conceded the penalty, we picked up the ball and we went again, and that was the most encouraging thing. And these young players are all behind it, including Sarr. So
correct.
Yeah,
correct. Do you have anyone else you want to mention, or do we move on to the man himself?
No, I think there's got to be. I mean, I think I've got to mention. Well, very quickly, I thought Johnson was okay yesterday. I thought he was okay yesterday. Just a very quick mention. Tracking back to Ben White and confusing Udogie wasn't his greatest moment. But no, I thought Kulu had a good. I thought
I forgot about him. Yes, please. Thank God you said that. Go on, you go away.
You can't forget Kulu. His strength, his upper body strength in certain situations, especially in that second half when it looked like he was going to lose the ball, but managed to stand upright and win the ball back. I really like Kulu when he moves inside. I think he's wasted out on that flank. I really do. I like him inside. He looks like he expresses himself and plays with more freedom when he comes inside. He's got more space. And he's got that strength to drive forward. I thought he had a really good game. I really did think he had one of his best games for Spurs. I know he didn't create anything and he didn't score as such, but he made his presence felt. He was winning a lot of battles in the middle of the park when he was coming inside. And I thought he gave good protection to Porro, which allowed Porro to have such a good game. Because everyone's saying Porro had a good game, and that's because Kulu also had a good game. But as I said, his upper body strength, incredible. And again, another really young player who's only going to get better. And he is getting better. He's finding his feet a bit more now, a bit more belief because he lost his way.
He had, thank you very much, Tigaro. He should not be named. You mean Voldemort? Yes, yeah. That's exactly who he mean. I'm so happy you mentioned Kulusevski because I can't believe I forgot about him. I have been very critical of him, and I do mean critical just because I loved the player we first saw. Last season, for whatever reason, whether it Conte, whether it be injury, whether it be Bentancur out, it could have been a host of reasons that he wasn't himself. And then this season, I thought we started off slowly. But yesterday, I obviously being there, and I don't know how many people of the 357 that are in here were actually at the game. He was outstanding yesterday. His work rate, like you said, to help Porro out, and the team was second to none. His availability when they kept putting the ball out wide to him to just get the ball up the pitch and hold it up.
Correct.
Yes, he came in a few times and it was a bit predictable at times, but yesterday, put in easily his best performance of the season by a country mile. His teamwork and his willing to run for this team and stretch teams or come back and do the defensive work. I was so impressed with him yesterday, and he deserves I'm so happy you remembered him because
our ginger from Sweden. He relieved so much pressure. There were moments where we were under pressure, and as you said, he got the ball out to him. He held the ball up, managed to drive forward up the pitch, and give us space. We definitely tailed off after the two substitutions. Definitely, he definitely relieved a lot of pressure.
Well, you know what, Johnny? Leslie brought this up. Big up, Leslie. I hope you're okay and the family are well. Kulu still can't beat his man. So what I wanted to... This is the issue. Now, obviously, when we heard Brennan Johnson was starting, there was talk to begin with until Ange came and said, no, Johnson's on the left. Everyone was saying that I think Kulu's going to play on the left and Johnson will go on the right. How do you think he'd do on the left?
I think he would do all right, but I agree, Leslie. I think it's the big weakness of his game, and Perisic being ruled out for the rest of the season is a massive blow for me, for Richie as well, because he's not going to get the service, and we need to whip those balls in. There's no point whipping those balls in so much maybe for Son unless they're on the ground, but I just think that. It's his weakness. Just like Porro's weakness is the back post behind him. Kulu's weakness is whipping those balls in. There's one other player, Brian, I must mention, because he's not popular. Kulu's work rate is unbelievable. His engine is Højbjerg. When he came on, right, he came on to steady that ship, right? And boy, did we need him. Because I'll tell you, when Son and Maddison went off, they had a lot of possession. and he was having to organise and win the ball. He was playing so well. I was waxing lyrical about how well he was holding the ball up, and then, as per usual, commentators curse. He passed the ball out. He passed the ball out into touch. But I thought Ange again brought him on to control the finish of that game, and that last 20 minutes that he played, the 10 plus the 10, was really important. Do you know what I thought was really weird about yesterday? It was quite funny. I've never seen both sets of fans cheer 10 minutes of extra time.
Yeah, it was, mate.
Normally one side goes, "Oh no," and another one's going, "Yes." But both sets of fans, when the clock came up 10 minutes, everyone started getting buzzy about it. You know,
completely. Well, one thing I will say with Pierre is obviously his first 2 seasons at the club. I loved him. He was my favourite player. I absolutely loved him as a player, as what he does off the pitch is literally, he's a man you can depend on to be fit the entire time, always available. He did do that well, but he was quite complacent with some of his passing. When it was the defensive job, he always does a job. He'll always get that job done. Moving forward, I think this is as soon as Bentancur's ready to come back in.
Yeah, but I mean, he brought him on for a reason, Brian. He brought him on for a reason, and Ange stated the fact that what Pierre gives him is the stability and experience to see out the game. And we needed it yesterday, because I'm telling you, if he wasn't in that team, whatever you might think of Pierre, if he wasn't in that team yesterday, they put a lot of pressure on us. They had a lot more of the ball when those two went. You know, and the only outlets for us were Bissouma and Kulu, really. So, I mentioned him. The only other guy we haven't mentioned really is Romero. I mean, how we've not mentioned him to overcome the adversity of those 2 decisions.
Yeah, but I will say with Højbjerg as well is I think he really had to do a bit more with the double sub of Son and Maddison. All our creativity went. All of it went. There was obviously you had Solomon on, you had you had Richie on, and obviously they could have done something. But obviously he did his job. And do you know what? I am going to give a very quick mention to Romero. Let's talk about Romero briefly. Listen, like you said, at last season or the season before, get an own goal and a penalty. We could have seen the rash, crazy, and mental, psychopathic Romero. But do you know what? That could have got a lot of people down. But he came through it. He carried on fighting. He grew into the game. And again, that partnership of him and Van der Ven is going to be something very, very special. But I think Romero's obviously got bowed out twice by his teammates, and he's very, very. I'm sure he's very, very thankful to the team yesterday. But after the penalty, his head could have dropped. After the own goal, his head could have dropped, but it didn't, did it?
No. And the other thing was when it was quite funny when he got handed the armband from Sonny. Right? Yep. His game went up. His game went up. He got booked for going through on Gabriel, right? He got grabbed hold of Gabriel. Gabriel was grabbing him. He was grabbing Gabriel. He was the one that got booked. And then afterwards, they were both laughing at each other 2 seconds afterwards. So there was no malice on it. It was shit refereeing. It wasn't a yellow card. Nor was Sarr's a yellow card. And Saka's was a red. But no, when he got that, not Saka, Nketiah, when he got that armband, he was like so proud of getting that armband the last 20 minutes. He was fired up again. It almost, not that he was down, but he sort of rejuvenated and added more venom to the game. You know?
You're completely right. Now, before we go on to the big man, a question came in from Stephen Richards. Now, obviously, we're going to speak about it, and I'd love to see what everyone in the chat thinks as well. How would you rate the start of this season out of 10. He's given it an 8 out of 10. Let's see what people in the chat think. And we'll go to you first, Johnny, before I go. What would you give it?
Well, I'm going to give it a 9. Why am I going to give it a 9? Because if you'd have told me that we would be unbeaten after 6 games, I know we started well last season and like la-di-da-di-da, right? But, you know, I did a poll before the season started, how many points we would have after, I think it was the first 4 games. Yeah, the first 4 games. And the average was 7 points. Okay. For me, it's 9 out of 10 because my expectations have been greatly surpassed. And I'm living the dream. And, you know, to everyone who says, oh, you're getting carried away, Spurs fans as well, stop getting carried away. I'm going to get carried away, right? I'm going to enjoy it. We've all spent 3 or 4 years in the doldrums, right? Enjoy every moment until the bubble pops. And then when it pops, we can go again, right? But I'm not gonna curb my enthusiasm and my excitement. Thank you. I've waited too long.
Yep, I'm going with you. There's a lot of people saying 9s, and I'm going to go there as well. We've got to look at this and say, do you know what? As you're looking at this, going into 6 games, undefeated, the change in this football club on the pitch and in the training ground and everywhere has been beyond our wildest dreams. Beyond our wildest dreams. And
who's responsible?
Well, you know who's responsible.
Q man.
We're going to talk about our manager of the month, the guy that literally just you can't help falling in love with him a bit more week in, week out. What have you got to say about Big Ange?
Oh, well, I will say is the queue for the tickets today, as Fran mentioned on our group earlier, 18,000 people queuing for a ticket. 18,000, right? 18,000.
Yeah.
That says it all, really. He's got everyone believing. He's got the negative no-nos, right? Believing. He's got Spurs fans crawling out of the woodwork that, you know, haven't even thought about going to the stadium or have awoken from their sleep, you know, like Prince Charming kissing, Sleeping Beauty. He's woken up thousands and thousands of dormant Spurs fans that are flooding out the woodwork, and who can blame them? And when you've got fans from opposing teams saying they love the man and they love our football, wow, what a change from being the banter club. You know how often we see in the summer, what do you hate, Tottenham? Like, you know, going to festivals and WWE, you know, the wrestling and stuff, and hearing the whole crowd saying they hate Tottenham.
And Tottenham get battered.
Tottenham get battered, right? Now there's a completely different, you know, from people on the outside looking in, they're looking in with envy, not ridicule. Wow, what a change.
Well, you got to look at this. I did a show with Ian Meth, someone you know very well, Johnny, about Ange, because he lives in Glasgow, and about how he dealt with Derby. So obviously he dealt with one of the biggest derbies, if not the biggest derby that you could deal with in Rangers Celtic. So he's no stranger to derbies, but to come in after 4 months now, coming into his 4th month in October. Coming into his 4th month, changing this football club the way it is, and let's face it, I can't remember the last time we actually went and put in a performance at the Emirates. I cannot remember. Since the 3-2, I cannot. All right, maybe the 4-4. Oh, no, that was before. The 3-2 came after.
Before 4-4. Before 4-4.
It came before. I honestly, I cannot remember going there, apart from the Carabao Cup when Dele Alli scored that wonderful goal. I cannot remember going to a game where we were in it from minute 1 to minute 90, where we had opportunities to win it, where the fans believed, the players believed, and like you said, 7 players making their debut in this game. And no matter what derbies you played in around the world, yes, we're biased. There is something very special about this one. It is a very heated rivalry. And to come there and go, right, we're going to come play our way, do our thing, and literally play in the way we did. And he just talks, like I said, he could read a cereal box, and I'd want to listen to him. What he is doing is absolutely outstanding. And every time you think, okay, is this where it drops off? Is this where we come undone? Is this where we get found out? Nope. Nope. He has lit a fire under these players, underneath the fans, underneath this club. And we are just so very lucky to have this man. I just can't believe how lucky we are.
He's, I mean, for me, the greatest thing, one of the best things was silencing Lego Head yesterday. I actually can't, I can't bear him. And it's not just because he's an Arsenal fan. As I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, Ange has already won more points away from home than his three predecessors. Think about that. Nuno, Conte and Mourinho. And there was a stat, where was it? Spurs had more of the ball, 53%, than Arsenal, and completed 373 passes to their opponent's 313. Where last season, under Conte, they only had 35% of the ball and completed 240 passes. Arsenal could not get the ball during that spell. And Spurs ended up the first half with over 60% of possession, more than we'd had the whole season. And we're away from home with a bunch of kids. We're going to hear the story that they were missing Martinelli and Trossard, and Rice went off injured. Yeah, we've been there. We were the club that suffered that last season. Did anyone care about our sufferings and the players that we had missing? No. So it's part of it. You spent £250 odd million in the summer. My heart's not going to bleed for you. But, I agree with Gary. This is going to be. It's going to be more of a test.
This is going to be huge.
Yeah,
this is going to be huge. But you know what? With the stadium, like you've seen, Johnny, when you go, the way that stadium is right now, I think we can do anything. I think we can do absolutely anything. Right, we've got a couple of questions to do before we sign off. So first of all, Mr. M has just said, Johnny, I watched Sunset Bell play for the under-21 versus Colchester. What a player. Thoughts on him?
He's a really good striker. We managed to pick him up from Chelsea. Again, another deal picked up by Paratici and Gabbanini, which sadly has come to an end. Why? I'll not know. We're still no news from the club. I think him and Lancashire and Donnelly, we got up front, not to mention Veliz. We have got a stable of thoroughbreds being trained up. And let me tell you, in 18 months, you're going to be buzzing from a lot of these players. As long as we keep the path clear, and when we make these signings, we make strategic signings that help the team, but also don't block the pathway to the talent that we've got, aka Mikey Moore, Dorrington, Phillips, and the boy we just bought from Croatia. The future's looking very bright, and we will
it's looking lily white.
Yeah, that's my number. That's my number.
Exactly. Well, we'll just quick. Couple of super chats very quickly. A user again. Robbie said we will be brought back to earth. Yeah, Arsenal Fan TV and all these Arsenal fans that were giving it large. Yeah, oh mate, all the Arsenal channels. I mean, We Are Tottenham TV, Hadi Gal, and I can't remember the other guy, and just running their mouth. Listen, we knew we were going in there not favourites. We knew what our history was like there, but we've seen what we'd been seeing, and now they've been coming into all the Spurs channels going, "Oh yeah, look at you celebrating this draw like you've won the league." It's like, mate, you were going to batter us. You were going to educate us. You were going to the amount of people that were coming in.
I was on with Vigal on Friday on a stream trying to do a joint 11. And he was going, oh, man, I'm just appeasing you. Look, I said, we can only go on the 5 games so far.
Yep.
And he wasn't having, a Basuma. He wanted Rice. He didn't want this one. And I allowed him to have a few. But he basically was saying that, you're going to be embarrassed tomorrow. That was it on Sunday. And it hasn't come to pass. And they have to accept it rather than looking at excuses that Rice wasn't on the pitch, Igal.
Well, there you go. I've just seen in the comments as well, Red, please tell me you're talking about you hate the Carolina Panthers, because believe me, I hate them. They are my Arsenal. Anything Carolina is my Arsenal. So it's another thing you and I have in common, apart from supporting this wonderful football club.
The Dolphins did well, those 70 points yesterday.
Well, I think the Saints are playing today. We'll have to check that out. We've got
Saints played last night.
Skinny Lee saying we'll beat the Scousers 3-1. We'll have to wait and see. Okay. It will be. This is the one. If we can go undefeated out of this, then we've got a nice run of games where we could put something together. Who knows what we'll do? Phil P. Woo! Mr. Ric Flair. Don't you regret not making White Hart Lane 100,000 capacity? We'd fill it right now. Do you know what? We probably could, such as the excitement and buzz around the club. And final from Colin, Johnny, you and I will answer this. If Ange got his hands on Delhi, could he get him back on track?
I don't know. I think there's negotiations going on with Delhi right now with Spurs, because if he plays, I think there's another one game. Everton have to pay 10 million and they don't have any money. I'm not sure. And as for the other question about the 100,000, I've got people offering me children. I don't need any children. Thank you very much for my Liverpool teams. But I know the price has gone up, but that's getting ridiculous. No, I don't. I think Delhi has to try and get back. If he leaves Everton, or he's left by mutual consent, and there's a way that the club feel that he could come and train, and Ange can help him along the way and try and find a path back, yes, I'm all for that. But that's only if he's rejected by Everton.
Of course. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just thinking, Colin's asking it as in, do you reckon Ange would be the man that could bring him back to glory? And
he could. Well, the mindset, he probably could be the man.
Mate, for me, I think Ange Postecoglou could bring people back from the dead. He could, honestly, he could probably do it. Whatever this man sets himself to do. There's one final question I just saw. Now, I didn't see this. What I'm about to bring up, I didn't see. So, Johnny, I'm going to hand it over to you. What happened with Ange and Arteta on the touchline yesterday?
I only saw at the end. I hate Lego Head. He's just a horrible individual. I'm sure very nice off the pitch, but I only saw at the end where he sort of hugged him and, like, I don't know, he said something, but I don't know. Phil, can you tell us, enlighten us as to what happened? Because I'm at a loss.
I wasn't aware until Phil just put that there. He didn't
give him an inflatable kangaroo, did he?
I don't know what happened. And for people that say we're not talking about should Delhi come back. We're saying, do we reckon Ange Postecoglou is the right manager that could bring him back to his glory? Oh, wait a minute. It's just the difference between the two coaches' behaviour throughout the game. I didn't get to see a lot of it because obviously they're right on the other side. So listen, Ange just holds himself. You even saw with the winning goal against Sheffield United, the place went absolutely nuts. He's just a quick then back to the team.
Listen, he's added some kangaroo sauce, hasn't he, to our team?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, you are completely right there. Okay, so we will be back tomorrow with Cockerel Doodle Doo. Obviously, we'll be going all week, or most days this week. Listen, this week is my final week in London. before I go back to Toronto. So I'm going to be spending.
I'm off to Spain, Brian, as you know.
Oh yes, you're off to Spain on Wednesday or Thursday. But such is your dedication and commitment, Ange-r Management will be back for the final one of me being in London after Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. And because of how this show is so well received, when I go back to Toronto, I'm 5 hours behind. We will be keeping the same time of 9 o'clock. I will be getting up at, what time is it? 4 in the morning to do the show. 4 in the morning.
We can do 9. We do 9:30 on a Sunday.
Okay, 9:30. Okay, so at 4:30 or a lay-in. I can enjoy a lay-in, Johnny.
We can do 10 o'clock. Everyone will still tune in at 10 o'clock on a Sunday.
Oh, we're sorted. We're sorted. It will definitely be in the morning. But Johnny, where can people find you?
Johnny H3232. Give me a follow. We've been back doing the Twitter Spaces, which have been popular. We've had a good few people in the rooms. Happy people as well. And you can also find me on Let's Talk Tottenham 32 on TikTok and Let's _talk _Tottenham Tottenham.
There you go. A few underscores
on
there.
Instagram. Yeah. It's all about. But this is my my current home.
It is indeed. Listen, I'm not signing off the way I normally sign off, like I didn't on We Are Tottenham TV, because today isn't about that, man.
No.
Yesterday wasn't about that, man. It's about our wonderful team, our wonderful manager, and how proud we are to be Spurs fans again and see the way we're playing. So, guys, thank you for joining us.
Football, baby.
Damn right. Football. Thank you for joining us once again. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you.